Hey guys, Marvel Fan 45 here, and today we'll be reviewing Eternals, released in 2021 and directed by Chloe Zhao, and starring Kumail Nanjiani, Richard Madden, um, Barry Keoghan, Gemma Chan, and a whole lot of other people whose names I do not remember. So yeah, let's just get into this one. It's time to give my opinion on this. Well, no, first I'll give you the plot synopsis. So, the Eternals are godlike beings sent down to Earth to help humanity expand and fight the Deviants. And yeah, that's all you need to know. So, yeah, my opinion on this movie. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. This is like an embarrassment on all fronts. There are some cool scenes, but that's it. Like, I'm sad to say this because I was actually looking forward to it. The trailers made it look really good, as I should have trusted the trailers, as we know from past films with good trailers. But this was just a disappointment. Like, where do I even begin? Okay, so, the Deviants. I'm just gonna get right into it. The Deviants are terrible, terrible villains. And they're not even technically the main villain, but like, they're there long enough that they're the main villain to an extent. So, something happens to one of them. They say something that like changes their whole thing on what they are. And then they just... Oh, spoilers ahead. Okay, I'm just gonna spoil this bit because I can't really say it without spoiling it. You can skip by a little bit and it'll probably be out of spoilers because this whole review won't be spoilers. But basically, it turns out the Deviants were also made by the Celestials, and they just wanted to, like, live, and the Eternals are just, like, genociding them because they didn't have a conscience. And when they got a conscience, they're like, hey, like, can we work together or something? Or like, because you're genociding all my people, like, can we do better? And then they just try and kill it again. And that is one of the dumbest things I've seen in a movie in recent memory. You have this villain who you think is this big bad this whole time. Then they're like, no, you've actually been genociding us. And then you're like, no, don't care, slice your head off. Like, the attempt at nuance is a failure, is what I'm trying to say. A big, 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 big failure. A big one. A massive failure. Any nuance this movie had, in my opinion, got thrown away within that single moment. But yeah, out of spoiler territory. But yeah, anyway, the Deviants are just like stock image photos of what a villain is. They're just like, haha, I am giant monster here to attack city. What will happen to me? They have no nuance to them whatsoever. Like, I hate to bring this up because I don't even think I should be comparing the two, but it's the one I currently see on my shelf right now. So, Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2 is an actual nuanced villain. He has a reason for what he wants to do. He has a reason for why he's doing it. And he has a character arc. Like, stuff happens with him. Things change. And he, like, looks back in on himself. The Deviants don't do that. The Deviants have no arc. They're just... Okay, another thing. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with having stagnant villains. Like, you can have villains that stay the same, like, the whole way through. Like, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying, if you're doing it, they can't be monster of the week villains. Like, again, like the first Deviant attack, it's like, this is pretty cool. And then every single other Deviant attack is basically just the same thing, just slightly different. And yeah, I hated how they looked too. The way they designed them, you could tell they were CGI. No, I mean, I don't even care if you could tell they were CGI, but like, the main villain, it was like, I think you could have done a bit better, Marvel. Okay, yeah, so the Deviants, not good. Now I will give some positives. The camera work was great. The camera work was great. During some scenes. Not all the scenes, but some scenes. The final sequence looks absolutely stunning. However, you can clearly tell Marvel held Chloe Zhao back a bit on some of the stuff. Like, you can tell scenes that are studio and scenes that are her. Now, I like the camera work, but like, it felt too. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, the lighting was like way too dark in my opinion. Like, it felt like I was trying to be gritty and dark and realistic. And it achieved none of that. And I'm sad to say that, but we're gonna get onto that later. No, let's just get onto it now. So the Eternals. So in the comics, they're I didn't want to say this while doing this review, but in the comics, Neil Gaiman's comics, that's the best example. They're like questioning their morality of like what the Celestials stop them from doing and like what they should do, and yeah, but like in the movie, it's just sort of like they have these. So there'll be these moments where like the opening scene where Cersei sees something and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I did that." There's no nuance in that moment. Like, it's like these are the people who like moved human history forward and they're not like thinking about it. And then the one scene where they think about it is one of, and I'm not exaggerating here when I say this, one of the worst uses of a historical tragedy. No, no, no. One of the most disrespectful uses of a historical tragedy I have ever laid my eyes on. Like, and I do not say that lightly. Like, when that scene happens, I was like, did you seriously just do that? Did you actually just say one of your characters caused this? And then it's not only that, it's the way they portray it. It's like, don't get me wrong, it looks cool visually, but visually it doesn't matter when morally it's terrible. Like, oh my gosh, that scene alone is, in my opinion, worth deducting a star. But that's my opinion because I can see people viewing that scene differently, but I viewed it as just like a gross misrepresentation of like they just showed no respect. Like, that's the best way I can put it. And then the acting. The acting is great. Wasn't the biggest fan of Gemma Chan, if I'm being honest. She was great and all, but like just couldn't click with her personally. Kumail Nanjiani was great as usual because he's Kumail Nanjiani. And then all the other Eternals, what's his name? The one who's always with Thena. Thena's pretty good. Thena's like the best character in the whole thing. And then the person she's staying with, I forget who it is, but that guy, he's pretty good too. It's pretty telling I forgot his name already. But what a disappointment. Like, there's an issue too that I saw another review bring this up, and they're completely right about this. They jump around too much. Like, 1 second you're in like 15,000 BC or whatever. Then the next second you're in like modern day. And then it'll cut to like ancient Rome, Mesopotamia, modern day. Oh wait, you're in the past in the modern day, but they didn't tell you were in the past in modern day. But like, okay, so there's one of the times where they go to the past and they give you a context clue, I guess, that you're in you're in past modern times because the character is alive. But like they don't give any. I'm not saying you should like put some sign that says okay like 3 days ago on it. But like they should have, because it's just because they jump around so much. It's so hard to keep track of like locations, what they're doing, how this impacts this, and what's going on with this, and why this is going on. It's just like, oh my gosh, like, ugh. I hated the jumping around quite a bit because I had trouble keeping up. And it's a 2 hour and 40-minute movie, so I was like, we don't need this much jumping around. Like, Zack Snyder's Justice League, literally a 4-hour movie. I'm gonna bring it up. In that movie, they segment stuff out. I'm not talking about like the part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 thing. I'm talking about within the story. If they flash back, they segment it out, they tell you what's happening, they catch you up. And again, I'm not saying movies should, but like, there was a moment where I actually did not know what was going on. Because I was just like, so lost because of how many times it had switched perspectives. Like, I was not the biggest fan of that. And then the fights. The fights are pretty good. That's all I have to say about the fights. The fights are pretty good, but they get kind of old. The final encounter is just sort of the same thing in a Marvel movie. Again, this time. This movie is just the exhausted MCU just trying to cling its way back into popularity. And that sounds really harsh, but that is the truth. This is, in my opinion, it pains me to say this, really, 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 really bad. You can do better, Marvel. I'm not even the biggest fan of Marvel, but comic book movies in general, I expect better. Like, Venom Let There Be Carnage from this year, go see that instead. That movie is great. Venom Let There Be Carnage has like a campy element to it. It's fun. Woody Harrelson is going bonkers for the first time since he played in any other movie recently. Or it's the craziest I've seen him since Natural Born Killers. Like, go see Let There Be Carnage. Let There Be Carnage is fun, has good characters, has some actually really good visuals. I'm not gonna lie there. It has some great visuals. Or go see Cry Macho if it's still showing. Rent it, go see that. Like, go see those movies. Go see Titane. Go see that. Go support that. Don't go see Eternals. Stay safe and have a good day.